And that right there is what it looks like to tear your Achilles as a professional dunker. My name is CJ Champion, I'm 6 foot, and I used to jump 48 inches. Right now, I probably jump about 15 inches. It's been about 6 months since, maybe 5 to 6 months since the surgery. I'm gonna tell you guys, what does it feel like to tear your Achilles? Let's look at the session I was having here. This is a dunk session. Probably had maybe 15 minutes of jumping before the tear happened. So we're gonna get into it. I'll let you guys watch the previous session with Elijah. I was dunking with Elijah. Here, let's go. I'm just kidding. It does not feel like that to rewatch this injury. I'm not even like phased because you know what? It's fascinating to me. I find the injury pretty fascinating. I mean, it's like one of the worst things that could happen to you as an acute injury. Obviously, it's not like a head injury. Head injuries are the worst, or back injuries, I think, are the worst. One of those two are like the absolute worst things that could happen, or maybe multiple injuries in one. But for an acute injury, I think Achilles is way, 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 way up there because the time it takes to come back is very long because tendons take a very, 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 very long time to recover. And then the worst part is, well, maybe you won't be ever 100% again. Will I ever jump 48 inches again? I don't know. That's a question for another video. But when we get into it, when we look, man, we were having a good session. It was a good jump day. Elijah was jumping high. I think I was jumping high. I was peaking here. And then I went for this 360. I went for a 360 East Bay. I felt it right here. Somewhere in here is where the pop happened. And just like everybody says, yes, it's all the same. It feels like somebody just went and chopped you or kicked you or something really hard just hit you. And it was a big snap. When I say snap, it feels like it's something that you could hear from really far away because it's inside your body. You feel the strong vibrations go all the way through your body. And it's like a branch snapping and it's immediate. It's like pop. And it's a very aggressive snap. And that throws you off. It kind of shocks you. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I'm in the air, right? At this point, I know something's wrong. You can see my face. I'm like, oh, you know, oh, what was that? I'm in the air. Heck, actually, you could see. It's hard to see. If you saw it in slow motion up close with like a high quality camera, you could see the snap around there, and then you can see my calf is kind of jiggling. It's like the muscle is like retracting and going forward a bit. It's wobbly, right? You can kind of see it. It's not that visible compared to maybe what you've seen in sports. In recent times during the, when did I see the last Achilles tear? During the Super Bowl, there was a guy running onto the field from the sidelines and you could see it pretty well there. Or Kevin Durant, I think they had a really good shot of that. Anyway, I'm in the air, I land, and I'm looking back. I'm like, who the heck was behind me on that jump? Who was behind me there? What was that? And you could even see I took a step. This is the only step I took after tearing the Achilles. That's the only time I ever stepped. And you could see the jiggle. It's loose. That calf is loose right there. And it's moving around. So I'm still looking back. I'm like, wait a second. And then as soon as I stepped and I felt it, I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. All right. And I'm thinking, oh no, immediately Achilles. It's Achilles. I've torn my soleus before doing a spin. And it did not feel like a muscle tear at all. I think I knew exactly what happened. And because I knew what happened, I was like, it's over. In my head, I was like, it's over. It's over. When am I ever going to jump again? Am I going to jump again? All these thoughts are in my head. What am I doing in the next few months? I had all these plans. I have to cancel this. I have to cancel that. I'm not jumping. It's just over. It's over. I was being dramatic. Yeah. Well, I think you could be dramatic a little bit for when you tear your Achilles, but a lot of people here, kind of awkward to tear in front of a whole bunch of basketball players that you've never hooped with before. Yeah. But you know what? It didn't hurt that bad. Obviously, it looks like I'm in pain. And if I were to step down, if I were to start walking, then obviously I would be in a lot of pain. But I didn't take any steps after that. So yeah, it hurt. I was hurting. I'm sitting here in the corner. I'm still thinking, I'm hurting, yeah. But I've actually had like an ankle sprain, a bad ankle sprain that's felt worse than that. And I don't know why. And I wonder if that's just the case sometimes for some Achilles injuries. I don't know. I was pretty heightened. My adrenaline was really up, really high up. And maybe I just wasn't going to feel anything. Shout out to this guy. Shout out to both these guys helping me get out of the gym. I know this guy, he was giving me his story. He tore his Achilles as well. I forget, it was like maybe 2 years back. And he's playing basketball and stuff. He was kind of trying to tell me like how things were going with him and how recovery was. So appreciate that guy. I wish I got his name. I don't remember his name, but anyway, yeah, we're moving forward. They get me out of the gym, and we're gonna scoot forward. I remember I did sit outside for a little bit as I tried to figure out what I was doing next, and I was making a call. And the worst pain, right? So this is the front desk. Once I was sitting back inside, I was at the front desk and I was just waiting. I might have been a little dehydrated, and I was starting to cramp. So like my toes wanted to cramp down, and it was super painful. I'm sure some of you athletes know when you get a cramp, it could be one of those really, really bad cramps. And it's so painful, and my toes would just keep curling and curling. And in order to fix the cramp, ideally, I would try and put my foot more in dorsiflexion, but the more I put my foot in dorsiflexion, the more it's stretching what left I have of the tendon that was still attached. So my tendon was attached a little bit, and I'll show you an x-ray, or the MRI, I'll show you the MRI. The tendon was just attached by a little thread, and you don't want to pull that anymore. Thankfully, it was still attached by that much. Sure, the MRI guys, they'll say that's a complete tear, but it's still there. What that allows is it keeps my Achilles down in the position where it's supposed to be. Versus if it was a complete total tear, sometimes you'll have the tendon actually start rolling up into the calf muscle itself, and then that surgery is tough. I mean, the surgery is kind of tough, but it's I had best case scenario. Maybe that's why it didn't hurt as much. I don't know, but I had best case scenario for getting repaired, and I was cramping, okay? I was cramping, and I was trying not to, because I know what's happening. I know what it looks like down there, and I'm thinking, I don't want to put my foot in dorsiflexion, and I was kind of forced to do a little bit as I'm trying to push my toes up, and I was in so much pain. That was probably the most pain I felt through the entire everything. And I was hurting so much. I remember Elijah was trying to talk to me. He was calming me down. Everything he was saying was going in one ear, out the other ear, because I couldn't concentrate. My brain felt like it was just gonna, I don't know. I do remember though, I almost started, it felt like my eyes were getting really heavy and I was really short of breath. And then I felt like I was like, oh my gosh, I might be losing it. And I was thinking that would be terrible if I passed out. It would be really weird. But I was in that much pain where I felt like I was starting to get close to that point of passing out, and I would start to panic, and I would try to really like wake myself up and be like, hey, it's okay. And eventually like the cramps would kind of come and go. And that was the worst part. But initially, it wasn't that painful. And I wonder if it is like that for all Achilles tears, because sometimes people, they tear it, and then they walk on it afterwards without knowing what's going on back there, and then they make it worse without knowing. So people are capable of doing that if maybe it's because they don't know what's going on back there and they think it's like a muscle tear, but I've heard cases of people having the tear and still walking or trying to walk on it afterwards. So it can't be that painful. But yeah, anyway, I don't think it was like, yeah, it's pretty serious, but it wasn't the worst pain in the world unless you have a cramp. I remember I had a cramp later that night too, and I was watching the NBA dunk contest, and I was filming myself trying to do a video on it, and I had to take a break, and that video will never come out anyway. But it was so painful, so painful. Thankfully, afterwards, my girlfriend is an athletic trainer, which is nice, so she kind of knows what to do. medically, like where am I getting my MRI and all that stuff. Thankfully, she was a huge help with kind of helping me, guiding me into what to do next. Unfortunately, the next 3 weeks was very difficult as I was in between insurances, and it was a nightmare trying to figure out that situation. But eventually, it took me 3 weeks to get surgery. Don't take 3 weeks to get surgery on your Achilles. Because what can happen, like I said, the Achilles can roll up into your calf, and then it's even more of a nightmare. Don't let that happen. So I had 3 weeks of just like, I was just going around on my scooter and trying my best not to step on it at all because I was scared of something like that happening or just making it worse. But I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover with what does it feel like and what actually happened. After the tear, like once I got up and once I realized what was going on, even without knowing what I was going to do in the future, again, by the time I was just waiting for my ride, I was waiting for my girlfriend to come. Oh, it was so sad. She saw me and she knows the gravity of the situation, obviously being athletic trainer. And she she gave me a big hug and she was crying and I was like, oh, I gotta keep it together. I was fine for some reason. Mentally, I've been injured before and I haven't been good mentally, and that just delays the healing process. So immediately I knew, I was like, I gotta keep a strong head. And I think that was the biggest thing. That was the most important thing with me recovering and being good. And obviously having her around was super, super important. And that was super helpful. So I gotta thank her for that. Yeah, I guess I could talk really quickly about surgery. Surgery was a whole other thing too. It wasn't fun. I didn't have to take any painkillers. It really wasn't that painful the next days after. I know I took painkillers. They gave me like hydrocodone, I think, and I never touched that. I still have some and I want to get rid of them. And it wasn't that painful at all. Yeah, it hurt a little bit, but like what was bad was when I go under, I get super nauseous and I just felt sick for 2 days. And that was the only bad part. But other than that, like surgery felt pretty fine, and you know, you just can't really move around much for a while. But yeah, you know, all is good. All is good. I'm like 5 to 6 months now post surgery, and I'm jumping actually. I can jump maybe like 15 inches. So that's something. That's something. I'm like a normal human being. I can drive. It was on my right foot, so I wasn't able to drive for a long time. And I can go about my life and do things. Oh, and train. Most importantly, I'm training right now. I am lifting heavy, and I'm really excited about it, to be able to train hard. I'm squatting better than I ever have been because, you know what? I'm not jumping, so my knees are fantastic. And now I'm kind of going off on a tangent. I'm going to leave it there before I continue about working out because I could go on forever about that. Anyway, that's it. There it is. Achilles tear. Don't recommend it. No. You know what? Just make sure your calves are strong. My calves are pretty strong. That's another video. Now I'm going to end it. I swear. I'm going to roll the clip where I got a phone call while starting this video. I got a phone call and I'll just roll it. Yeah. Let's let that happen. Jordan Sutherland is calling me. Yo, what's up?
CJ!
Yo!
So, man, I tore my Achilles.
So that's pretty crazy to have Jordan Sutherland call, and so he tore his Achilles today. I guess maybe it was like an hour ago. Well, I mean, we didn't see the MRIs or anything yet, but just the timing of that is awful, and the timing of that while doing this video is just weird, but it sucks. Somebody like big in the dunk community, it don't feel good. He's in good spirits though. It sounds like he is really like mentally okay, and I know last time I saw him at dunk camp, he was like the best he's ever been, like mentally, I think. So yeah, he's got a kid on the way, and he's really hoping he can just be available to help as much as possible, obviously, when the kid comes. So anyway, yeah, leave a comment and just have Jordan Sutherland in your thoughts as well. And yeah, that's sorry. I feel kind of like, ugh, I mean, yeah, it just sucks. But anyway, it seems like he went through the same thing. It's just Anyway, that'll be it for the video. I think next video, maybe I can get into more, or I could upload an older video, but I have an old video where I explain why did my Achilles tear when everything looks like good and everything felt good, what would lead up to this? Because nobody wants to have an Achilles tear. So what can you do to prevent it, and why did mine tear? So how can I avoid this? I understand. I will have a video out on that, and I guess I'll catch y'all on the next one.